Okay, so let's get into street talk then. Immediate reactions to this week. I'm saying it was okay. It obviously started off with a bang, literally, with the Bistro siege on Monday, which seems like so long ago now, thinking back on it.
Moves fast on Corrie.
Yeah, it didn't really mention much of that story in tonight's episode, and it was kind of a bit of a damp squib, really, wasn't it? But there were some other good things, but it was all just, on the level this week, I think. But there were a few highlights that I'm sure that we can talk about. So we're going to be starting off with that Jacob's Dada storyline. And have we seen the last of Damon on Coronation Street? I'm not really sure. Up next is all the factory stuff, and I'm kind of racking my brains for a storyline title with that. And I've gone for the alliterative Sarah's Secret Sample Sewing Session. That's getting a chuckle from Gemma. I'll have that one, thank you.
You did it so well as well.
Tooth and Lies.
Oh, nice.
The mystery of Lawrence and the murderous dentist, or is he, is going to come next. Before we move on to Bernie Winner.
Like Bernie Winter.
Like Bernie Winter, exactly. Yeah, that's all right. Half a second to get that one. I'm glad you got there, though. And then Roy's new toy, which is his mobile phone. You're a little bit obsessed with. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they're my best ones either. Gemma, I'm gonna let you do the Bistro stuff first. So,
thanks.
The siege. Can we call it a siege? Was it? It makes it sound maybe a bit more exciting than it actually was.
The
hold up.
The Bistro kerfuffle.
The Bistro kerfuffle. Yeah.
Bistro faffing about.
Yeah.
Right.
Were they Bistro ninjas? I think that they weren't sneaky enough. They were trying to be Bistro ninjas.
They were too loud to be ninjas.
Yeah.
They were more like Bistro samurai.
Is that a samurai well known for being louder than ninjas, are they?
Well, yeah, on the scale of samurai to ninja.
Okay then, so go on then, Gemma. Tell us all about the Bistro kerfuffle.
The great Bistro kerfuffle of
2023. Gonna go down in history.
On Monday, tensions are high at Nick and Leanne's because there's drugs drops going on and she's worried about it, and she snaps at Sam because he's been sent home early yesterday. Don't ask why he's at school on
no
Sunday.
Questions, but it was yesterday that he was sent home early, according
in the
to the
Bistro
script.
later, Leanne is feeling maudlin, and Nick says, why don't you go to town or something? I'll handle the drugs thing. And she says, okay,
Poor
yeah.
man.
I'll just let me know when it's done. So
he's just like, Leanne, I don't need you here. You're
just worrying and being a big, I don't know.
You're getting me down.
Yeah, you're a big fun suck, to be honest. I was looking forward to this drugs thing. Just ruining it for me. So he goes,
buy yourself something pretty.
He goes into the kitchen to have a worry. And he calls Damon and says, look, the stuff's here. And Damon says, look, I'm going to do it tomorrow now. Sorry about that. And
he's too busy having a date with Dee Dee, isn't he?
He's very blasé about this. Nick can't believe it, but outside there's a shady pair outside the Bistro getting ready. They're waiting in a car.
It wasn't that shady though, because it was like in the middle of the day. I think there were many things that contributed to the lack of tension in this Bistro kerfuffle, and it just being in broad daylight was just one of them.
It's also they could have just been listening to the end of a podcast or something.
Well, yeah, sometimes you just sit in the car for a little bit, don't you, before you get
warm.
out. Yeah,
that's what you do. Stay warm in the car instead of coming into the horrible cold house.
Yeah, well, sometimes maybe they were waiting for their windscreen to defog or something.
Maybe to get out.
Okay,
no more questions. Make sense. Damon's having a date with Dee Dee, and they're talking.
I know, I just said that. Sorry.
Why?
No, sorry, carry on.
They're talking about travelling and how they've been all over the place.
Yeah, this is one of Dee Dee's things, like dropping in. Accidentally, but is it that she says, like when she said, what was it this week or was it last week, where she said dollars or cents or something?
Oh yeah, that really annoyed me.
Sorry, I've been in LA for 2 years.
You haven't been there that long, love. No need to be like that about it.
They sometimes do. I can't think of any other examples, but making characters drop in things.
You just imagine
that they actually wouldn't do.
You just imagine her saying hello to Evelyn in the street. Oh, I love your kangaroo. Oh, it's a dog. Sorry, I've been in Australia for so long. You know me, I'm scatty. Anyway, Nick comes in and he wants a word with Damon, so they go out into the back and Nick...
No, it's like Glenda on her cruise ships. That's the other one, isn't it?
They
need to have a face-off of anecdotes of exotic locales.
That's true.
Dee Dee versus Glenda.
That would actually be quite fun.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
That could be. face off between the newbies.
It would be funny because Dee Dee wouldn't. I don't think she'd realise it's a competition, and Glenda would be trying to outdo her all the time, wouldn't she? And then in the end,
End of scene.
End of scene. You guys write it. It's not down to us to write these things.
Everybody wins.
Critique it, don't we? So they go at the back, and Nick says, "You've got to get somebody to come and get this stuff out of the bistro now." And Damon's like, "No, I'm not going to do it." And then Sam turns up.
Yeah, Nick's trying to be hard, isn't he? He's trying to be assertive about it.
The thing is, if you walk around with a sour face on all the time, you can't go any higher, can you? He's already at 10.
Yeah, that's
can only go to 11.
It's normal. He does have a resting bitch face most of the time, does Nick, doesn't he? Like, he can't squint any harder to show that.
Oh. It's like I can't actually see your face.
His face is just going to suck itself into itself.
Black hole.
Yeah. Now you know I'm mad. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. I'm going to suck you into my event time continuum. Of course, the event horizon of Nick's imploding face.
Oh my god, sinister. Sam shows up at the bistro. Ryan says to Nick that Nick's not there, sorry, to Sam, and go and have a seat. And two guys come in balaclavas, waving a gun around, asking for the drugs.
Clearly just come from Balaclava Terrace.
Yep.
They're Balaclava terrorists! Demonetised.
Oh, yeah. Nick and Leanne are walking down the street.
Maybe we made that joke before, I don't know. Yeah, they're walking down the street later, aren't they?
Nick and Leanne, for some reason Nick's not there, and Leanne's not there.
No,
and Sam's
just
in the
out.
bistro, and he secretly phones them to tell them what's going on. And while he's trying to explain, there's a gunshot. I hope the glasses are all right. I like them.
Maybe that's what shattered the glass in the Rovers, because you noticed with your eagle eye this week, didn't you, that one of the panels in the booths in the Rovers has got a massive crack down.
Well, I was foolish enough to have tweeted, "What happened to this panel in the Rovers?" And of course I've got, "It looks like it's broken." And I also got, "It's not real."
Oh yeah,
Thank
you did.
you.
Yeah,
that's my favourite response to anything.
Shoddy.
But when we cut back to the bistro, everything's fine and nobody's got shot. They just wasted a bullet for nothing. And they're very, very expensive in this country.
There was a very exciting cliffhanger, Gemma, because literally anybody could have been killed there.
Imagine
Ryan,
if Sam had just got
DD.
shot on a Monday afternoon. So
he'd have been fine though. That's the problem. Like, there's no drama with anyone getting
even
injured
if someone
anymore.
gets shot, and they actually, not wishing to be too pessimistic about Corrie. Even if you get shot, you still got a chance of appearing after you're dead.
Yeah, that's very true.
Flashback, ghost, video.
But I mean, you can get shot and pretty easily survive. Just ask Ardy and Shona.
Don't ask Ardy though. God, she never shut up about it.
Is there a weapon that is just unsurvivable? Is it the hole punch? Is that the deadliest one?
Yeah, it is. A hole punch or a bin.
Yeah.
So Nick and Leanne rush into the bistro and they get ushered to the booth. These guys are still holding everyone hostage, aren't they?
They are, yes, everyone.
And
about 3 people.
And Nick and Leanne just come and join. Like, can we be in the hostage situation? Yes, take a seat. We're taking hostages.
Love a bit of drama. Leanne's like, she's
hostages.
sucking in the opportunities to have a real moan later. She's like, I'm going to be so mad about this later, Nick. Just like, suck it in. Yeah, my anger is rising.
By my fury. Damon leaps on the back of one of the, what did you call them? Balaclava terrorists.
Yeah, Damon heroically jumps out of the kitchen, doesn't he? He's come around the back entrance.
Knocks them to the floor, roll around for a bit, run out through the kitchen, and then Damon comes back in. It's a bit like a Tom and Jerry cartoon, where they rush off and there's a scrap, and then one of them comes back completely unharmed. And Nick and Damon start talking in hushed tones about the drugs, but then the police come in and everyone has to freeze.
Yeah, because when the guys came in, they were talking to Ryan, weren't they? And they were like,
"Give us the drugs."
Yeah, and Damon later says that this is rivals, didn't he? Like, competition for his
there was
drugs
can I just
empire.
say that last week there was a scene where Damon was on the phone saying, "No, you're not muscling in on my patch."
Oh, I forgot that.
Yeah, so this is obviously
completely forgot that. That's probably quite relevant, actually. Yeah. Well, I was wondering at the time, like, is this a setup from Damon? Has he, paid someone off to come in and raid the bistro to make Nick, and then he would heroically save the day so that Nick would be reliant on him, but
make it look
not.
more dangerous than it already seemed.
Yeah.
So the police have turned up, as I said, and the police say to Nick, "Why would anybody come here for drugs?" And Nick says, "Oh, it must be a mistake. You know what these sat navs are like." And they say, "Sir, that's a joke from 10 years ago." Mary tells everyone at the pub about this, and so the news has been disseminated.
Yeah, I mean, this ties into what we were saying a little bit. It made me think of what we had in the cabin last week when we were saying that we don't have a gossip monger on the street at the moment to step into Norris's
Mary
shoes.
heard
I
us and
suppose
said, well,
Mary is the closest to it, but she's not, it's not the same, is it? Like the amount of glee that Norris derived from spreading malicious rumours and gossip, and didn't you know that? I know something you don't know.
That's pretty
Mary's
close.
not quite. Yeah.
She just doesn't have the all-seeing ability that Norris did, because she wasn't sweeping it outside the corner shop.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Norris and Ina and others of that ilk used to nose, didn't they?
Yeah.
And that's what you got to be a top-class gossip.
You got to rove.
Yeah, you got to put your nose out there.
Yeah, you can't just expect people to wander underneath it and waft stuff up your nostrils. So, the cops and the dog investigate the kitchen, and for once there's nothing in there dodgy. Outside, Damon tells Nick that he's managed to get the drugs out, and he's been having problems with his competition, and that's who it was.
Yeah.
And he takes the drugs out of his boot, gives them to Nick, and says, "Look, hold on to these for a few hours, and then once that's sorted out, I'm out of your hair for good." So Nick rushes back to the flat, but Damon is in the pub later, and he's asking Glenda if the Arndale's open till late tonight, and she says yes, so he goes there.
Yeah, I wrote that down in the notes, but I'm now thinking, I think that was...
He goes and buys DJ decks for Sam there.
Oh, yes, that's it. All of these things I'm suddenly realising.
Back at the flat...
I pay attention, honestly.
Nick tells Leanne that he's got the drugs and he's going to hide them. Damon comes round with these DJ decks to Sam, and Nick and Leanne won't... They're like, "No, you can't give them to him. You're trying to buy his affections." And he's like, "Well, whatever, see you later." And leaves them there.
I love how he's always just like, they try, don't they, occasionally.
It is really funny how...
Like, no.
Yeah, I know. It's like, well, you're not in charge of me, so... Wednesday, you see Toya for the first time in a while.
Yeah, where's she been up to?
Toya's...
Still got a job yet, eh, Toya?
She's been hiding in her bedroom, hoping nobody brings up the fact that she's still unemployed. Toya sympathises with Leanne, who's reeling after this ordeal that she's had on Monday, and Sam's also having a bit of a hard time. His mum was shot.
She was, yeah. Well, everybody's having like PTSD from someone they've seen being shot. Like we had Ryan as well, the same episode, didn't we? Oh, my mum was shot at her wedding. Oh, my mum was
stabbed. She was stabbed.
No, Michelle was shot by Phelan, wasn't she?
Oh yeah, she was stabbed.
And then Robert was then Robert was shot outside the pub. The next, like, everybody, as soon as there's a gun goes off, should just like start wailing and having flashbacks.
Good job Shonna's not here.
I know.
So, Leanne tells Nick he needs to tell Damon that he's worried that Sam is never going to overcome his PTSD, because it seems like Damon has a weak spot for Sam for some reason. Never really goes anywhere, does it?
No.
I was kind of like waiting for some weird twist or revelation where we find out that actually Damon is Sam's real dad.
I suppose where it went is
that doesn't make any sense.
They had been building up a nice little bondy kind of relationship, and then it makes it extra hard for Sam when he discovers the truth about who Damon is.
Yeah.
Because he got to know and like this guy, but it turns out he's a Gaskell.
Yeah.
Ish.
So Sam talks to Leanne and Adam at the bistro, and he's doing this thing that Sam likes to do at the moment, where he goes, "Why are people bad? Why do good people do bad things and bad people do good things?" And Adam says, "I don't really know, but the main thing is you got to catch them and stop them from doing bad things. Then worry about
and get a good lawyer.
Why they did it afterwards." It's basically like, it's not my job. I don't know. But I'm glad they do, because it gives me a job.
Yeah.
So Craig comes round as police officer Craigie to the bistro to follow up the investigations on the Balaclava terrorists, and he talks to Leanne, and he talks to Nick and Ryan, and say, right, you got to come and help us with our investigations. And he when he tries to speak to Nick, Leanne tries to block him and says, "Oh, he's not here at the moment." And when Craig leaves, Leanne's like, "You need to get rid of the drugs at the flat now, because the police are here and they're asking questions." So Damon calls Nick, and Nick says, come and get these drugs. And then Damon says, no, I'm not going to. You drop them off somewhere. And Nick says, no, I'm not going to. You come and get them yourself. Then we have this really nice scene with Ryan.
I thought this was a lovely scene.
Interesting. If you listen to our bonus episode, which was released on Wednesday, the same day, you will have heard most of Ryan's backstory about what he's been up to. And it's like he listened to it himself because he was crying about how he's made nothing of his life. So he's having a bit of a breakdown.
I'm 31 and I've still never had a main story of my own.
Just to point out, in the podcast bonus episode, I'd say that Ryan is 34.
Yeah.
That's Ryan Prescott, not Ryan Connor. Ryan Connor, the character, is 31. Okay, so he's saying to Leanne, it's him and Leanne having a sit-down talk where he blubs about how hard
it was really sweet, wasn't it?
I thought it was great. It was nice, it was touching, it was nice to see a character.
Nice to see a guy opening up and having a cry and being in touch with his emotions and everything, and realising, like probably lots of people do, like, I'm X years old now. What have I done with my life?
Oh man.
I mean, we can't all have
there is nothing
excellent podcasts, can we?
No, there's nothing more depressing than somebody younger than you telling somebody that they've done nothing with their lives.
I know, a 31-year-old.
Thinking to yourself, we're on a kind of a level here and I've got 10 years on you. Shut up. So he's saying, I'm 31, I used to have all these plans, I'm a waste of space, I haven't done anything. And Leanne says, oh, but everyone likes you. And Ryan says, but Alia doesn't. And Leanne says, look, you're 31, you've got loads of time to make something of your life. You'll be fine. And so Ryan okay. But I'm interested to see whether this is going to spur Ryan on maybe next week to ask Alia out, or maybe go to Ibiza and be a DJ or whatever he wants to do with himself.
Well, I'm hoping it's not leading to his exit storyline, because the way it was, you know, the way it was all framed and the script and everything made it seem like, he could now be having a bit of a hard, serious think about his prospects and whatever, and decide that he's going to up and leave. And I don't want that to happen for two reasons. One, because I really like Ryan, and two, because we should have waited a few weeks longer to redo his character profile, because it's going to be
add 3 sentences on the end.
And then he went to Ibiza at the end. So I hope we get to see him around, or maybe it is just the start of an actual Ryan story.
Damon
midlife
shows
crisis
up at the flat to see Nick, and Nick's just been wiping his fingerprints off the case. And Damon takes it, and he spots the decks that they haven't set up for Sam yet, so he's annoyed about that. And he says, look, I haven't found anywhere else to go, so I'm staying at the Bistro for a bit longer.
Yeah, he needs a new drugs den, doesn't he? New base of operations.
And he says, send me a picture of Sam using the decks, please. Gets into the car, he speaks to Dee Dee on the phone, and then the cops turn up.
Yeah, he's just put the case of drugs in the boot of the car.
Craig's like, stop, it's the police, you're being arrested for naughtiness. And it's obvious that Nick's crossed him up. And if it wasn't obvious to the viewers, it's obvious to Damon, because Nick's standing on the balcony above him, looking down, gawping at him, and Leanne's standing the other side of the road, gawping at him.
Nick was like looking down like Batman on top of a Gotham town hall. He just needed a flapping black coat.
Nice try, drugs lord.
Vigilante Tilsley there.
So,
what?
Leanne's stropping up. Well, she's right here. She strops up to Nick and says, what the hell have you done? You're playing a dangerous game here. Damon knows it was you, and we're just going to get in trouble. He's going to sing like a canary. He's going to say our names to the police.
He's gonna say that we knew about it all along, implicate us.
And he's also, you don't want to be on the wrong side of these guys. I'm telling you, I've been involved in drugs, people. Like, this is the 3rd time now, if not more than that. And Nick's like, no, don't worry about it. Damon's the only one whose fingerprints were on the case because I wiped them off. It's like, oh, Nick, is that all you think that they go on these days?
The thing is, I'm pretty sure that we saw Damon having a bit of a wipe of the briefcase handles as well before he put them in. But
it's in his car.
Well, yeah, exactly. So I wondered whether that would mean anything, because he could claim, because didn't he hide it underneath the spare wheel or something? I don't know how easily it'd be to be able to say, I had no idea that was there and my footprints aren't on them. But I suppose, you're going to profile someone if they're a hay.
But look, we're not talking about that, I don't.
Okay.
Well, no, because we could go down the whole thing about his lawyer could get, he didn't, blah, blah, blah. We'll find out if he gets away with this. He may well do. We'll talk to her about it at the end, yeah?
Okay.
So, Leanne gets the bleach out and she's trying to spray everything down. Then Ryan, I don't know where this is. I think it's the Bistro. Ryan apologises to Leanne for his breakdown and says, thank you for forgiving me about all the stuff that I've done. Because, the time I robbed the Bistro.
Yeah.
I like the way he's all so sad and traumatised about the Bistro, but he was robbing it himself, so what's his problem? Craig comes in, as Officer Craigie, says, I need to talk to you and Nick about, Leanne and Nick about something Damon said in the interview. And Ryan's like, what the hell? Damon's involved in this. I thought I knew him. I thought he was a brilliant DJ and a cool guy, but I know he's a drug dealer.
No, he knew that he was a drug dealer before, didn't he? Because he'd been doing a bit of investigating for Nick, but I think he thought he was fairly much on the level with them, as a business partner.
I can't believe Ryan's like, oh, what? He's involved in a raid at the Bistro, even though he works here. What kind of a dog would do that? So,
didn't even ask to borrow my ninja costume.
Craig takes Nick and Leanne into the back room and says, got something to tell you, sit down. Damon is Harvey's half-brother. And Nick and Leanne are like, oh yeah, we're supposed to not know that. What? He says, I need you to come down to the station and tell me everything you know about your relationship with him. And Leanne's like, no, we can't, we don't know anything. And Nick says, no, of course we will. We'll do whatever you need. Craig leaves, Leanne's panicking, and Nick says, don't worry, just say you don't know anything. So, they go back to their flat after they've been to the police station, and Leanne's like, oh my God, I can't remember what I said now. That's what I'm like after every podcast. Oh God, what did I say? Sam asks them why they were at the police station, and they say they were just helping them out with the inquiries. But then Nick has to break the news to Sam that Damon was lying and he was dealing drugs, and Sam's gutted about this, and Nick says it was Damon's fault that the siege happened, and then out comes Toya, and she says, well, the main thing is that Nick and Leanne didn't know Sam, because if they had known, they wouldn't have put you in danger, would they? He wouldn't have let Damon work at the Bistro.
To be fair, they didn't realise that Sam was there, because Sam came into the Bistro, I think, after school just to see Nick, and Ryan's like, oh, you might as well wait here, we'll be back soon.
I think she's saying more like they wouldn't ever hire a drug dealer to work at the Bistro.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah. Sam's gutted, but then he decides he wants to speak to Damon to find out the truth about why he's a bad man. And I have to say, the shtick of Sam, being confused about why bad people are bad and good people are good is getting on my nerves now.
Is it?
Is this what kids are like? I thought kids were just bad people are bad.
Oh, they're all different.
How old is
and they're all special. He is 12, I'm going to say.
I suppose that is quite old. That's quite old. I just, I think younger children are quite happy with the idea that there are baddies and goodies, aren't they?
I don't think that you can compare Sam to normal children in any way, really. He is very unique.
But, he keeps going, oh, well, there must be a reason.
Well, I like that they did this, because that was such a huge thing as part of this Harvey storyline. If it didn't even cross his mind during this, then you might end up thinking, well, why not?
Well,
so I didn't mind it at all.
I found it.
Maybe he's got a future in psychoanalysis or something like that.
Well, if it's going somewhere, but
anyway, I could train him up to be a counsellor.
What? So he can grill people why are you horrible? So Sam's saying, why was he doing these drugs? Was somebody threatening him? There must be a reason. And Nick's getting worked up, like I am, says, no, Damon was doing drugs. He was behind the raid. And you know why? He's Harvey's brother. And Sam's like, oh no. And he pushes the decks over. Revenge. So Nick coaxes Sam out of his bedroom later. And he asks them, did you know that Damon was Harvey's brother? And they're like, who knows? What do you know? It's one of these things.
Well, it's Leanne first, isn't it? She's the one that pipes up and says, look, we did know. I've only known for a few days. And then he starts to say, all right, Nick or Dad or whatever, did you only know
He's
for a
like,
few days? And Nick's like, I can't continue this lie anymore because, God, this kid, he's good at finding out the truth about things, so I might as well fess up now, otherwise it's just going to be worse later.
Maybe this should be a new technique that police use. Just have an inquisitive 12-year-old boy sitting in on every single interview.
Can you imagine that? You got D.S. McKinnon or Swain or someone at the police station, and it's like, guys, tell you what, Gov, we're not getting anything out of this suspect. Bring in Sam.
We need good cop, bad cop, and kid cop.
Sam's like a dog's name as well, isn't it? Could be. So
our dog was called Sam when I was little.
Yeah, there we go. So if I was being investigated by the police and they said bring in Sam, I thought they were going to bring in some snarling Rottweiler or something to come in. But no, just a little kid.
It's you know how kids are always like, why, but why, but why, but why. So, Sam's mad, obviously. Oh yeah, and when he finds out that Nick knew for quite a while that Damon and Harvey were brothers, but he didn't tell Sam because he didn't want to hurt him. Sam's like, get rid of these decks, get rid of these headphones, and I don't want you here either. I think we'd be safer without you. So this kid, somehow, they all agree together that Sam's right and that Nick should move out.
Yeah, well, the end of the episode is Leanne going, yeah,
get out. Me and Sam are going to live here by ourselves. Oh, and Toya's here as well, I guess.
She knows where the brains are here. She's siding with
this kid's going to be a genius.
with the dominant one in the house.
He's going to make me a fortune.
Sam is the alpha male of their flat.
If I was Nick, I'd be like, no, it's my house, I pay the rent.
I know. But Nick does kind of know that he has done something wrong. He's been feeling a bit guilty about it for months, hasn't he?
Between his legs. I don't know where he's staying. I don't think that's ever cleared up.
No, I can't remember whether they said or not. I mean, there's Grasmere Drive and there's number 8, isn't there?
So on Friday, Leanne tells Nick that she's redone the rota so she and Nick don't have to work together. What a massive sulker. Why has she just decided that it's all Nick's fault?
Well,
she was in on it like a day ago.
She was in on it, but only...
No, she's like, Nick. Now Sam says it's all your fault, Nick.
By the time Leanne got into it, they were in so deep, and there wasn't very much they could do.
It is his fault, but I just don't like it. I just find it really.
You just like to find a way to blame Leanne for everything, don't you? You can't help it.
She's so about it, wasn't she? She's like, get out and redone the rota, so I don't have to look at your ugly face. So Dee Dee comes in and she's like, oh, can I work here? No, get your own office. You have an office, go and work there.
I know.
So
she wants a quiet corner because Sarah and Adam are just slobbering over each other on the desk probably over at the
Well, I thought that they didn't want to have a kid now. Anyway, she says, oh, have you seen Damon? And Leanne says, no, he's a drug dealer. he's in Weatherfield prison or wherever. And Dee Dee's like, oh dear, I'm such a bad judge of character. It's just one of my quirks. But, I was always like that. When I was in LA, and also there was a time in Thailand when I was hanging out with a drug dealer. No, she didn't do that. On the way back from school...
Jason Grimshaw or something.
On the way back from school, Hope's trying to get Sam to tell her about the siege, and she's really jealous about it. And she's like, well, maybe I'm just used to all the violence because my dad was a famous serial killer. I
love how Hope was jealous of somebody else being the centre of attention for a while.
Yeah, so she says, get used to it. Get used to being let down by your dad. He'll come grovelling back with a present before long. And she's not wrong because Nick comes to the flat to speak to Sam, while he's having his mushrooms on toast.
What was that? What child has got mushrooms on toast as their favourite food?
I know. Well,
I bet Roy Cropper's favourite food was mushrooms on toast when he was a boy.
I have this really horrible memory of these canned mushrooms you used to better get. Do you ever have toast toppers?
I know what you mean.
Oh, I used to have them, and they were foul. And I'm sure
they were 80s, aren't they?
There was a mushroom flavoured one.
I've said probably on the podcast before because I've said everything about my whole life in the past 10.5 years in the podcast, but I do not like mushrooms. They're like the texture, the flavour.
I'm always trying to get you to like
everything
them.
About. I don't mind a raw mushroom.
I know, it's weird.
But yeah, stick it in some water for a while and whatever you do with mushrooms.
Yeah, you boil them.
I don't know. Do you boil mushrooms?
No.
I got no idea,
you
sorry.
would never boil them.
I would never boil a mushroom, no.
Well, you put it in a stew or you fry it.
Oh, I've just shown myself up there
nice
again.
With toast,
But not for a 12-year-old boy, come on. If you got that and pizza...
Well, isn't pizza just fancy mushrooms on toast?
I suppose it could be, yes. If you choose the wrong pizza.
Nick's come in and he's brought Sam a new telescope lens, but Sam doesn't want it, so Nick slopes off, and Leanne's like,
Leanne kind of gives a look as if to say, this is a bit weird, isn't it, that I've kicked this guy out of his own home. Maybe I've overreacted.
On the whim of a boy.
A small child.
With no
he's just
discussion
so darn
whatsoever.
convincing and cute.
Yeah. So later on, Dee Dee's talking about her terrible taste in men with Nick, and that's the end of the.
Yes, I mean, I didn't. That scene seemed like nothing much was happening there, but it was also like, so Nick and Dee Dee gonna be at it before long. Nick and Dee Dee have had Dee Dee and Nick.
No.
You think? Well, because Dee Dee spends the episode just going on about being single again, doesn't she?
Calm down, girl. You've only just got in the show.
It wouldn't surprise me, and Nick has definitely been unfaithful before. So,
I would hope that Dee Dee would have
more restraint.
Yeah, maybe just to pick on a guy who's not got a kid. I don't know. Does she want a free kid?
Well, yeah. Well, I imagine she likes that. I can just see them getting a bit closer. Maybe not like going the whole distance or anything, but I can imagine them sidling up to each other and Dee Dee going in for a kiss, and then just at that moment Leanne walks in saying, Nick, I've just come to forget. What is this? Oh my gosh.
Didn't take you long, did it?
Yeah. Or Sam going, Daddy, what are you doing with that lady? With that nice lady? So
that's the end of that.
That is the end of that.
And is that the end of Damon? Because now he's been arrested.
Well, I mean, Nick said on Wednesday's episode, he's going to prison for a long time. It's very odd, the quick departures that we've had in this story. Like, Jacob left Weatherfield out of nowhere. Now we've got Damon. I didn't have any idea at the beginning of the week that we'd be saying goodbye to him.
Can I just say,
it feels like it's not end for him.
If it's the end of Damon, why did we get rid of Jake? Why doesn't Jacob come back?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because Jacob went because Damon said, you better get out of here because you've ruined these drugs, and if I don't get you, so and so will.
Well, yeah, well, I
thought was a lie.
Well, no, I would just think that maybe
Jacob
needs to get away from Weatherfield because the people whose drugs he flushed down the cars are going to get him.
That's what I just said.
Yeah. So, but if he comes
was that a bluff?
I don't know.
I know you don't know.
But anyway, Jacob's not coming back, is he? I assume, unless that's a massive bluff.
No, Jacob's not coming back.
I don't think that I can't remember what his name is, the guy who plays Damon. I don't know whether he's on social media or anything, or there to say, well, that's it, I'm done playing Damon. And usually they do something like that, don't they? Or Coronation Street will put a little video saying,
thanks for
here's
your work.
Here's Mr. So-and-so saying that they really enjoyed playing Jacob's dad.
But it was weird because he set up quite a lot of storylines with women dating, wanting, going after, Jenny and Dee Dee and...
I mean, presumably there's going to be a trial set up. It's the same with Griff. Like, it doesn't feel like Griff's gone because there's still Max's trial on the horizon, and maybe we'll get to see Jacob being sent down, and somehow Nick and Leanne will get away with it, even though especially Nick was very much complicit in the whole thing. So
It's possible that what you said about the fingerprints on the drugs not being his could come into his getting out.
Maybe
next week, even.
But I wouldn't be particularly sad if that was the last that we saw of Damon.
I quite liked him.
He was fine as a character. I think it was just the nature of the story was not gripping for me.
I like having a proper antagonist on the street, and even though Stephen is a villain, I wouldn't say he's a proper antagonist.
Well, no, he's not.
I'm thinking of somebody like Owen. Somebody who's just grumpy and everyone hates them. or just, somebody who's dangerous, who if you cross them, you'll get in trouble. There used to be lots of characters like that who were menacing. And I don't think there is anybody on the street like that now. He would have filled that role. Yeah,
but I think that the fact that he is a drugs dealer means that he's only going to have a certain shelf life anyway.
Yeah, but he can go on the straight and narrow, just like they all do.
No, I don't think so. I think his time on Coronation Street is limited. But as Jacob's quickly come to an end tale has told us, no idea how long that's going to be. But I just think that the story's just been not my cup of tea, and the siege on Monday was the epitome of this isn't hitting the right notes. I saw universal sort of disappointment with Monday's episode online when I was reading on about it afterwards.
There was no sense of danger.
There wasn't. It was daytime. Nobody, Ryan and Sam weren't going to get shot. I mean, I suppose Ryan could have been.
Ryan could
because
have been
he is
killed.
fairly disposable. Unfortunately, I'm sad to say.
But they're not getting rid of. There's no such thing as a disposable character anymore.
What do you mean?
No, they're not getting rid of anybody. The last person that was a significant. Was it Imran?
What, the last exit? Well, no, it was Kelly, wasn't it?
No, the death.
Well, Leo, Gemma, don't forget. He was proper disposable,
Oh.
wasn't he? I just it didn't feel dangerous, and that there's only so many times that someone can get their gun out and wiggle it around in front of everybody that I'm going to feel threatened.
Well, I think you should have a bit
Don't get it out if you can't play with it, as what's his face Lawrence said to Sean today. It used to be that when someone brandished a gun on Coronation Street, it was like, oh my, have you seen what he's got a gun there? But now it's just like, oh, he's got a gun. It's another one of these. And even the fact that you remember the scene on Monday's episode after the gunshot goes off and people are walking outside the Rovers and they all stop for half a second when the gun goes off. They go, what was that? Was that a gun? Oh well, never mind.
Was that another gun?
It was. I think they were like, oh no, of course it wasn't. But they just. It's all like we hear guns going off all the time. We're not worried about it. It's how it felt to me. It was over too quickly. They didn't have the building sense of tension. They just came in saying, "Give me the drugs." It's utter flub, unfortunately. And Coronation Street needs to be careful about over relying on the shock value kind of scenes, because they're only shocking if they come rarely.
Well, they're only shocking if they have consequence.
Yeah.
And they're doing it frequently and nothing bad. You know, we've had a bomb, we've had a stabbing, and now we've had a shooting. And a
very dangerous hole punching.
Well, that's the thing. Somebody was blown up. Somebody was shot at. Somebody was stabbed, and the only person who died was hit with a hole punch.
Yeah, it makes you think, doesn't it?
Makes you think. It's like one of those. It's like that thing. It's like, oh, did you know that ladders kill 20 people a year? And you're like, oh my god. No, I didn't. I'm going to keep my eye on it now.
The hole punch is mightier than the bomb.
How many people do you think get killed by a hole punch in a year?
1.
Yeah.
But the aftermath I found on Wednesday's episode was better. I enjoyed Ryan's reaction to it. It was nice to give him a little bit of a character moment, a bit of bearing his soul. I thought that Sam's reaction to finding out that Nick knew that Harvey and Damon were brothers was very much in character and kind of heartbreaking. And then it just kind of dribbled out today. So is what I say. Although I say that Sam was great, but I do think that Nick and Leanne maybe need to start standing up to him a little bit. I think he's a little bit on the precocious side. He's ruling the roost a bit too much there. I think he's speaking to his dad like that. I know Nick says, "Oh, Sam, Sam, your mum's been shot and we need to go softly around you." But show a bit of respect for your elders, boy.
Yeah.
You don't get to decide who lives in this house.
Your name's not on the mortgage. I've been looking up about whether there's any information about hole punchers, and I think that they've been suppressing this information about fatalities.
What, hole punch fatalities?
Yeah,
right.
I can't find any information about that, but I can tell you a shocking number of people get killed by pencils.
Really?
How many people do you think...
Well, I've seen that scene from The Dark Knight.
How many people do you think, I guess this is in America, get killed? This is from Sharksider.com to prove that sharks aren't as dangerous as everybody thinks they are. How many people do you think
per annum
are injured by a pencil.
Injured? Oh, tens of thousands probably.
I don't know which country this is, but about 6,000 people go to hospital. To hospital?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And of those, how many people do you think die?
500.
100.
100 pencil-related deaths per year.
And on average...
Is that the most deadly piece of office equipment, do you think?
I don't know. But on average, 100 people a year die from chewing on a pen.
How many people get fed into the paper shredder?
You can't really do that.
You can if you're determined. What kind of stationary murder would you be?
I don't know, but I did go to hospital once for sucking on a pen.
Right. Anyway, that was...
That was when I was about 13, 14. I should have known better, really.
Should really by that age. Sam wouldn't do that, Gemma.
Sam wouldn't try to kill himself with a piece of stationery.
Yeah, no, I thought that Jude was excellent again this week. Jude Jordan, who plays Sam, and but the story itself just didn't grab me, unfortunately.
It's okay.
It was okay, but
Yeah.
to have the big siege, it should have been more than okay. I mean, look at the Freshco siege.
Yeah.
Back in when was it, 2000, I think. That's how you do a siege with drama, with tension, with consequences. And I know they weren't going for exactly the same thing, but equally, why not go for that? Why not make it as good as the Freshco siege? If you're going to make it last, 2 scenes and then it's over, and come on, you've got 3 hours a week to play with. You can afford to make something, spend a little bit more time on these big events. Rather than just make them throwaway.
Michael, we didn't have time for that. We've got to cover Sarah's secret sample sewing session.
Nice, you did it as well.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's move on.
We got a precinct scene on Monday.
Yes, we did. Yes, we have second precinct scene for Harry,
which is
Adam and Sarah.
Which is the second appearance of the play area rather than any of the shops.
Yeah, they've not gone around the outside, have they? They haven't ventured outwards from that.
But they did have a shout out for the charity shop quite a few times with Evelyn and Roy this week. And
yes.
I wanted to say, I hope to see the chinchilla cage turning up at the charity shop.
Oh, yes.
Because now that since Scylla's dead and Hope's moved on, they don't have any need for it, do they?
No, not really.
I think it would be a very good visual joke for the charity shop exterior to feature a very prominent piece of hilarious story detritus every now and then.
Yeah, I like the idea. Okay, so...
No, I'm doing this one.
No, I'm doing this one. I just did the last one. No, you
yes,
just
you're
did
right.
No, you did it. I know, it's my turn.
No, well, I'm doing it.
Don't try and steal my storyline. So, Sarah gets a phone call from Michael.
At the precinct. They're at the precinct.
Yes. So Adam has to take Harry to school. Oh my gosh, what heavy drama there is.
And they're going to get a speed dial later.
Stop saying the story. This is
Michael's
my story.
Sarah his t-shirt.
Shut up, you maddening woman. Getting me angry. You're going to be in that roof box, Gemma, I tell you.
Glug, glug, glug.
So, Michael has got some lovely t-shirt designs and he wants to send them off to retailers. He's so confident in the excellence of his t-shirts, and we got kind of little snippets of them, didn't we? And it did just kind of seem like any random t-shirt with writing on.
Yeah, but that's my idea for our merch line.
But yeah, I suppose so. But I don't know how you can, break new ground in the idea of t-shirt design, because it probably has all been done before, hasn't it?
As far as I can tell, you just charge £200 for it and then it becomes more desirable.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's just going to start contacting all these retailers and see if anyone bites. And basically they spend what?
I just had this image of him phoning up going, "Do you want to buy a t-shirt? Depends. What's it like? It's got writing on it. I got stuff with writing on already." Okay. All right. Thanks for your time.
Okay. So they have spent all afternoon sending their designs off to potential buyers, and Sarah realises that she's an hour late for her dinner date with Adam. So she gets to speed dial, I suppose. Adam's already finished his dinner and hers, and he says, "Look, it's fine. I've got to go and pick up Harry now. You stay here, have your dinner, order yourself something, but you can't, smart lady," he kind of implies.
No, he leaves her his bank card so that she can buy herself.
Yeah, I know.
And then he marks a card for her saying you're in trouble.
Yes, that's what I said.
No, you didn't.
I literally did say
You
that.
didn't say the card bit.
Oh, well, doesn't matter.
I know that I listen. I'm going to admit that I did actually read the beginning bit because I know that now. Because I was thinking, I wish I could drink my wine, but I can't because I'm talking.
Well, you just drink your wine. Drink it. Wednesday's episode, Michael and Sarah tell Stephen, we need some samples of our products. Somebody says they like our t-shirts. They've never seen such a thing as t-shirts with words on them before. And rather than just raiding my wardrobe for any number of worded t-shirts that are hanging up in there and claiming of their own, we need to get these samples sewn up. How on earth are we going to do this?
Right, but the design that you sent me had like Daddy's favourite girl on it, but this says United Colours of Bettington. I don't. No, that's just an example of all the different letters. We could do the whole alphabet.
Yeah.
In any order you like.
So Sarah talks to Beth later. They try and coerce her into doing some overtime at the factory tonight to run up these samples, and they haggle over wages before Beth agrees. I think the last time that Beth was up late doing sewing at the factory, that was when was when Gary was sneaking about on the roof, wasn't it? Do you remember her up late sewing Rana's wedding dress? Yeah. So it's I'm surprised she didn't have her own little PTSD episode from that. So anyway, she Sarah meanwhile is speaking to Adam and says, "Oh look, sorry, I got to work late tonight. Got to do it. Got to oversee the t-shirt making." And so when they do a bit of a covert operation to all get into the factory once Carla's gone, Adam just wants to talk to Sarah about having a baby. I can't remember what it was that put the idea in his head. Somebody talks to him about, I don't know, aren't babies lovely or something? And he's like, oh yeah, we were having that storyline this time last year when Lydia was around. Whatever happened to that?
You listened to me complaining that they haven't talked about it.
Well, there we go. So
very influential.
I know. But anyway, so Sarah can't talk about that. Now she's got to go to work. But when he does catch up with her later and puts the idea of a baby in her head, she's like, well, I can't, sorry, my work's too demanding at the moment. No babies for now. And Adam's like, hang on a minute, this time last year you were gagging for it. Do you remember that scene when you were lounging with your legs apart on the sofa?
No, she didn't have her legs apart. It was up in the air.
As good as.
No.
And then Stephen comes in wanting to talk to her about design, so she has to go off of there. And Adam's just like saying, excuse me, I could have kids with anyone that I wanted. Nearly did.
It's like,
probably have got some out there, to be honest.
Yeah, I probably have loads already, so I don't even need you.
Yeah. Beth's working away later. Michael's sticking his neb in and offering advice, and she's just like, leave me alone, go away. Order me a takeaway.
I wanted to take a screenshot, but I wasn't fast enough. It was the perfect example of capitalism. It was, Beth was on her sewing machine working, and then standing over her and watching, but adding nothing whatsoever to any of it, were Stephen, Sarah and Michael just watching her doing it and getting in the way.
Yeah. I think, of the various skills that all of those characters claim to have, Beth is actually the one that's the most skilled.
She can walk the walk.
Yeah, they all have different domains, don't they?
Yes.
Michael with his innovation and sales techniques, Stephen with his just general businessness, and Sarah with
persistence.
I can't even say, but yeah, Beth is actually a good sewer, a good machinist, and so she just wants to get on with it. So Sarah and Stephen retire to the pub later, and then they talk about Adam wanting kids, and Sarah's like,
this is just Sarah and Steve
just
together.
Not really into the idea actually. And when Harry was born, I had psychosis, and Stephen's like, oh really, that's really, oh no, sorry, she says I had psychosis, and that's really hard, just ask Carla, because she also had a mental health storyline. Everyone's having mental health storylines at the moment, and Stephen's like, that's really interesting. I'll put that in the revenge banks to pull out later. And I thought that was kind of weird how, despite speaking about nothing else but having a baby for the first 2-3 months of 2022, Sarah's psychosis was never even brought up.
No.
She went a bit nutso when Harry was born, didn't she? Because she thought that he was haunted by the spirit of his deceased father from underneath Gail's granny annex.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to point out that there is actually a murder case going on at the moment in America with a woman who has said that she had psychosis, postpartum psychosis. So it's a bit of a touchy subject in the news at the moment.
I don't watch the news.
No, I know. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that he perked his ears up about.
Well, he's kind of she's in his bad books and has been for a couple of weeks, hasn't she? After being a bit of a hardcore bitch boss.
Why did Carla ever ask him to join the company? She hates him.
I don't know whether she had that much of a problem with him at the beginning. It's just, but as soon as she employs someone, then she hates them. Yeah.
He helped her once, and from that, she's tried to make a business relationship, and then immediately hated every second of it.
Yeah, she just takes every opportunity she can to belittle him and show him who's boss. So I don't know. You know, if he wants, especially at the end of the week, wasn't when he was glaring evilly at her at the end of tonight's episode. So how's he going to use his knowledge that she had a mental breakdown to
first sign
off her or something?
It's going to be when he buys Hayley's anorak from the charity shop.
Oh, maybe. He's going to go around pretending to be Hayley. You're right, climbing up those steps at the Red Bank.
And then when he turns around, it's Rana.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose that he was able to use Audrey's medical weakness against her, wasn't he?
Maybe that is why they've hit the maybe that is the solution to the weirdness of why Hayley's anorak has gone missing. Maybe he's going to get the anorak, but then is it widely known that Carla was triggered by that?
I don't think so.
But wouldn't it be an interesting
that would be
trigger?
That would be. I like that. So I that would. So with Audrey, he knew that she was on these antidepressants and also had a bit of a drink problem, so he tried to drug her or whatever to make her look drunk. So is he going to do something to her to try and make Carla look like she's losing it again?
Maybe he'll swap Peter's broken iPad for Hayley's anorak.
Maybe.
And then she'll be like,
maybe not. So on Friday's episode, Beth comes knocking at number 3 in the middle of the night, and Michael's there, fairly scantily clad. He's got his dressing gown on, but there's an awful lot of chest showing there. I think that was shocking for 7:30. No, it wasn't 7:30. Sorry, 8. I still haven't learned that Coronation Street doesn't start at 7:30.
Well, it was in the morning.
Well, it was. He was in bed, I think. But because it was dark. Anyway, it doesn't matter. She says the overlocker's broken, Gemma.
Yeah. Why have they only got one?
I don't know. But an overlocker, you showed me.
Overlocker is so normal. You know when you have stitches and they go in a straight line. That's normal stitches, right? That's what a normal sewing machine does. Overlocker makes this complicated thing that keeps the hem down. If you're wearing clothes as you're listening to this, you don't know what overlocking is. If you turn your hem over, you'll see very intricate stitching, and that is just done by an overlocker.
There you go. Very important. So it's broken. Beth's broken it, and
very important.
She needs Michael to come round and fix it. Otherwise, Carla's going to kill her.
I have to say, it's not important for samples.
Well, they've got standards, haven't they?
Well, yeah.
So we had Sarah going to see Adam at work for a bit and saying, we can have a baby at some point, but not now. That was a bit of a birth of a scene, to be honest. And then we cut to the factory where Stephen and Michael are desperately trying to fix this overlocker. Izzy's kind of going, oh, what are you doing over there then? And then Carla comes in and they're caught out. But because, I guess, work hours have started, they try and make out that Beth's only just broken it then, so it wasn't really that much drama. Carla says, well, if Beth's broken the overlocker, she can bloody well do some overtime later on to make up for that lost time then. And Beth, she's like propping her eyes open with matchsticks through today's episode because she was basically working all through the night. Poor girl. And once you get through it, about £40 or something Peter gave him. So we see a scene later because the Peter's barter storyline came back into it with a bang this week, didn't it? And the last time we saw him, he had a cheese grater, I'm going to say.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
I don't know how he's managed it, but he's managed to get that up to an iPad with a cracked screen at the moment.
A tablet.
A tablet. I mean, that's a pretty good swap. I think we must have missed a few intermediate stages here, which is a shame because, Carla says to him, look, you better get your motorbike by next week, otherwise I'm going to be trading you up for a new model. And I really hoped that this Peter Barter storyline would go on for a whole year. But I wanted to see every single step
I
of
agree
this.
with
I
you.
wanted to be able to have a little video compilation at the end of the year of each item being swapped for this, for this, for this. And it feels like maybe it's just going to be over next week.
All they've got is time.
They have, I know. So anyway, Michael and Sarah go to the bistro where they meet Rufus, this potential buyer.
He's a
He's
right dick.
Yes, he is somewhat insufferable, isn't he?
Yeah.
Do you want to speak about him?
No.
No, you can do.
Why?
Well, because he's not the sort of person that you like. I don't think that he would appreciate your feminist stance on things.
Well, he was incredibly sexist, wasn't he? And I just said to you, it just demonstrates how socially acceptable, even though everyone disagrees. Well, you're supposed to dislike him. Being misogynistic is far more acceptable in fiction than racism. If he had said the equivalent to Michael, what he said to Sarah, they would have stopped the meeting there, wouldn't they? It's just really sad.
It was a bit, and Sarah didn't seem
bothered.
No, she's just like, ha ha ha, yeah, I am.
And Michael didn't stand up for her either, which I thought was a bit annoying. But that's the thing, is that's not the point of the story, and obviously they're both equally as you know, they're both terrible.
Yeah, I mean, they
I'm not trying to say one's worse than the other.
They did the very best that they could in the script to make Rufus look like a proper Neanderthal, didn't he? A real kind of vile kind of guy.
It's an easy shorthand, isn't it, to say this character's awful, to just have him come out and be sexist.
Say that hasn't Carla got a
but
nice rack? It's
not a deal breaker for them.
Well, no, you've got to overlook these things sometimes in business, haven't you? If you want to get the readies in.
It's the first person they've met. Are they really that desperate? I'd tell him to get lost. Well, I wouldn't be spoken to like that.
If they believe in their products. Clearly they don't.
I wouldn't be spoken to like that.
I know. I think that Sarah should have said something, but I guess they wanted the story
to being greedy.
To keep going at a good lick.
It wasn't. I didn't feel as though she felt particularly upset by it, though.
No, I don't think so. But maybe she's used to people treating her
as a
like
woman,
this.
You have to pick your battles. The same as Michael would say, I guess.
Mm.
You know, when people are horrible to you about your skin colour.
Yeah.
But it was, you know, how different would the story have been if Rufus had, you know, picked on Michael instead of Sarah? And it would have been a completely different tone, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
Because it was kind of, you're supposed to dislike him, but it is almost comical how evil not evil, but you know.
Yeah, it's like it's okay to laugh at somebody. Doesn't mean that you're on his side, but yeah, you're right. It wouldn't work if he'd been
It doesn't invite you to take
Michael.
a stance on it the same way that racism in Coronation Street does.
Anyway, so he thinks that these t-shirts are the bee's knees, and but he says, next up, I want to see the factory itself, please, because you know what kind of magical wonderland must have produced these amazing garments. And so they have to text Stephen and say, "Is Carla in? We need to bring this guy around." And Stephen says, "No, she's gone out. She's gone to fix the overdocker or whatever it's called, overlocker." So they kind of get up and say, "Right, let's go to the factory right now." Very handily, it's just around the corner. So Stephen gives Rufus a bit of a tour of the factory when, oh no, Carla shows up and she's like, is that guy there? What's he doing? And Stephen says, oh, Rufus, come around this way, and then kind of ushers him out hurriedly. Carla is not impressed because she thinks that Stephen's been misrepresenting himself again, like he did a few weeks ago, for making himself out to be the boss, which he kind of is. Over with Peter. If you're still keeping up with the exciting adventures of what's he going to trade his iPad for, he decides that Tyrone would love the tablet for one of his daughters, and he'd like a bag of tools in exchange for that. Now, I don't know anything about DIY, as you know, but I would say that a tablet is worth quite a lot more than tools. Maybe I'm wrong.
No.
I'm definitely wrong, apparently.
Tools we didn't find out what these tools were, but Tyrone says he doesn't use them very much, or if at all. But, you know, you can get a second-hand tablet for a couple of £100. Tools, will be worth, it depends on how many they are, but
I suppose
tools are very
I was just
expensive.
thinking, what would I rather have?
Yeah,
I'd rather have a tablet than tools, even if it had a broken screen and didn't switch on. But look at this, I got one all to myself. Anyway, Tyrone's saying, "Oh yeah, well we've got a laptop," and then they say, "Oh, but now your daughters won't have to
fight over it."
Yeah, I say, well done for them for having a laptop, because kids these days don't have a clue how computers work. They're all having tablets.
Yeah, it's better.
Give them laptops. They've got no computing skills whatsoever these days, children. They can't even turn a computer on, some of them. So anyway, that's just my little thing. It is funny though. And
computer literacy is important.
Computer literacy is so down.
I bet you lots of parents don't even realise how.
No, I don't know. I don't know whether they do, or I don't know whether they think it's not important. But
yeah,
and I don't know. You know, when kids of Hope and Ruby's age, when they grow up to be in the workplace. Will it be important to be able to use a Windows PC or a Mac or anything? Possibly not. And maybe that's just me being fuddy-duddy and everything. But when I became a teacher, generally children were pretty proficient at a computer. And, you know, some teachers still weren't. But generally, children were very, very good. And these days, a lot really do not have a clue about how to use a computer for anything. And
it's bizarre.
And iPads are great because they're very user friendly and everything, and they do a lot of the hard work for you. But there's an awful lot that you can do with a computer that you can't do with a tablet device.
Yeah.
That is just lost to children. You know, even things like file. Sorry, I'm completely going off track here. This is just my little thing.
Sorry.
File structure and saving things in
folders
and windows. Yeah, exactly. And you don't need to do that on a tablet particularly, do you? It's just anyway. So I say well done to Hope. Is it for using a laptop?
Yeah.
You're a dying breed, girl. Anyway, I completely lost the train of thought now. So back in the bistro then, yeah. So Carla has been Stephen tells Rufus that Carla is his PA actually, and yeah, maybe she sometimes gets ideas above her station. And Rufus buys this story, and also speaking of buying, he's quite interested in having the exclusive contract with their T-shirts with words on, because he thinks he's got a bit of a gold mine here that maybe nobody else has thought of before. And yeah, they're great stuff. And
he's like, I don't know if you thought of this, but you could have all different words.
Yeah. So with the deal done, contract's going to be coming later on in the day. Did they ever get the contract in the end? No, they didn't, did they?
He couldn't work out how to use a laptop.
Oh yeah, probably. Rufus heads to streetcars to go and get a taxi, and he's not just misogynistic to Sarah, he's also very condescending towards Peter, the mere taxi driver, isn't he? And kind of going on about his
microdosing. Microdosing and showing him his watch and saying this is worth more than you'll ever earn in your whole life.
Yeah, and
it's like, it's a good job I don't
want it. He was also telling him how lovely LSD is, apparently.
Yeah.
So anyway, Stephen, Michael and Sarah are in the bistro kind of toasting their future, although Michael's a little bit apprehensive about it because
he's saying
the contract still hasn't come through yet, so let's not count all our chickens.
Let's not be
too hasty. So, but Stephen says, I can't wait to tell Carla where to stick her job. So they talk about wanting to get new premises and everything. Like Stephen just thinks that he's really landed on his feet by these two guys, Sarah and Michael, who have got. They don't know what they're doing, do they? Bless them. And Stephen's like, thank goodness I can join this up and coming enterprise.
Rufus has obviously got more money than sense, hasn't he? If he's given these three so much money that they not only to supply these items, but to get premises and
I know
and to pay their wages, that's insane.
Yeah,
really.
So they're there clinking their glasses. Beth, meanwhile, is asleep on the job later after having a hard night's sewing the previous evening, and Carla wakes her up, gives her a very stern warning, and says, and then when Kirk says, don't be mean to her, she was working late last night, Carla's like, she was she? What's going on there then? And Beth says, no, he's getting confused. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm just not sleeping well. And Carla doesn't believe her at all. Oh yeah, Beth also says maybe I've got long COVID, doesn't she?
Oh.
And Izzy, when she said that, was like, excuse me.
Izzy was fantastic.
We do not make COVID jokes here. I was stuck in my house for 2 years, actually.
She gave her a very quizzically comedic warning, like, no.
We don't joke about that kind of thing.
That was I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it is nice having Izzy back in the factory again. She's not had loads to do particularly, has she? She just has the odd line here and there. But it does feel like a little bit more back
like
to the old days again. Yeah.
So, but Carla's not buying this story about
no, not at all. So in the end, Beth admits, I was here. I was working on a garment late last night, and Carla wants to see it, but Beth like, oh no, I threw it away. Sorry. Carla says, is this anything to do with this guy that Stephen was showing around later? And Beth's like, Beth's like, I can't say. I need to get back to work. Sorry, Mrs. Barlow.
Leave me alone.
Yeah. Back at the exciting adventures of Peter and the iPad tablet, he's there in a scene with Ruby and no hope. And I'm not just talking.
What?
I'm not just
right.
talking about the actresses.
No.
I didn't even mean that. I can't remember what the line. There's something in the script where Ruby is purposefully not allowed to say something, or I can't remember. Peter says, "Oh, so you're staying quiet, are you?" And it's like, yeah, don't give Ruby anything to say here. She does say one thing when she opens up this tablet after agreeing to take it off Peter. She says, "Oh no," because the iPad tablet, Apple has got cracks all down it, and Peter's like, no. He really tries to convince them that there's nothing wrong with this screen, doesn't he? Like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Need the screen
this is
for
fine.
a tablet.
This is okay. Go on, take it. Give me my tools. And Carla, meanwhile, is on a bit of a investigative streak. And she starts looking at the broken sewing machine or whatever it is. Overlocker. I'm glad you know what it is. Broken overlocker. And then she looks in a locker. So she finds in the overlocker a sample of Sarah's material. And in her locker, in Michael's locker, she finds a screwed up piece of paper that catches her interest. So Peter...
yeah.
I can't remember what happens. I'm just having a little scan. Yeah, so Michael... There's an awful lot of this storyline tonight, wasn't there?
Complicated story, yeah.
It is if you're not paying attention.
Yep.
Michael, meanwhile, is worried as the contract email still hasn't arrived, and Sarah's like, oh, don't worry, I'll try and call Rufus. No joy there. Stephen says, right, I'm going to head to the factory to check it's not been hand delivered. So he arrives at the factory and is quite taken aback to see that Carla is in her office laughing away with Rufus. Because Peter had kind of been speaking to Rufus earlier, hadn't he? And he'd brought up the fact that Carla is in charge of the house. I can't remember, but to cut a long story short, Stephen walks in there and Rufus is like, I've just been talking with Carla. She tells me she's the boss.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on? Why were you making out that you were the main boss? Carla's absolutely fuming at him. And she also drops the bombshell that Stephen doesn't own these designs that Michael made. She does. And so Sarah, Michael and Adam turn up and Carla puts on this little role play of being in a court, and here's my exhibit A and exhibit B, her proof that the designs were made by Michael, because the bit of paper that she pulled out of the locker, the screwed up bit of paper that she oh so handily happens to find, has some old scribbles that he did in the factory once, which for Carla means, well, he was my employee, he was designing some clothes, I'm the boss, ergo these designs belong to me. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. And Stephen gives her the evil stare, and that's the end of this week's Coronation
Yeah, I mean,
Street.
Adam's there saying, well, yeah, I think that she's right. Yeah.
We'll see, I can't remember whether...
Yeah, well, she was saying, no, stop me if I'm wrong, Adam. What do you think of this, Adam? And Adam's like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was.
Well, she basically points out that according to the contracts, the employment contracts that they've signed... Yeah. She owns that whatever they've worked on.
Even if you're not employed to do that particular job.
I don't know why your employment contract as a salesperson would have license over anything that you do that's creative. But you did use... The thing is, it doesn't really matter. I mean, that stuck in my craw a little bit as a creative person to like say have a full-time job. And also do creative stuff on the side to have a boss go, oh, I own all your creative stuff. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Not always. But in this case, well, she's pointed out that she does in the contract. But they're using her premises. And it's really annoying me how entitled Michael, Sarah and Stephen all were about using Carla's factory.
I know, that's not how you get into business, by being, well, maybe it probably is actually, by being shady and underhanded. Yeah, that's probably exactly how most people get into business. But
Carla's
just being resourceful.
Recently turned into a raging bitch for no reason, but old Carla would have been canny enough to have said, use my premises when no one's here, don't get in my way, don't mess up any of the machines, and I'll let you do it, but I want 10% of the profits. Why didn't they ever come to this agreement?
Well, maybe that's
for the
where
arguments.
It's go
that's
next
why.
week.
But yeah, some of Michael's design work was done at home on his own laptop. I assume it's not Underworld's laptop.
No, but I don't know. I believe Carla that she owns them.
And now
I don't understand these things.
That this investment that's been put in is threatened, isn't it? Elaine's 10k or whatever she's put in. What's going to happen with that?
Very good point. I don't know.
Because they put all this money into these designs. Have they got any other ideas?
Different word? Numbers. Huh? Symbols.
Do you know what?
Hieroglyphics on t-shirts.
And here's something she hasn't considered. Unlike letters of the alphabet, there are an infinite number of numbers. You can go all the way up.
Yeah, but you can put a number on a t-shirt that no one has ever put on any item of clothing
Copyright
before
it.
if you try hard enough.
Yeah, copyright it.
If you get an infinite number of monkeys, an infinite number of computer design packages, one of them will design a t-shirt with a number on that nobody's designed before.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
I want that. And you can have limited edition.
Yeah.
And just go up from there.
How are you finding Sarah Louise and Michael as a business duo?
I mean,
in the whole...
hapless, aren't they? Hapless.
I think I'm finding them a little bit more believable. I did like it. I can't remember what it was that Rufus said when he assumed that Sarah was
the totty.
The totty of the operation, and she's like, "Oh, actually, I'm the boss."
I'm the director.
I thought that it was, even though maybe he should have been called out on what he said. I thought it was, she was quite level-headed and cool at that. I'm buying them a slightly more now, but the thing is, I think that they're going to be doing this business project together for a small while, just for this storyline to run, really, and then it'll all fall apart.
I just feel sorry for Michael for being embroiled in this stupid plat nonsense.
Plat nonsense? How
well,
dare
Sarah and Stephen are basically just... They've ruined this poor man. He was doing perfectly fine, trucking along with his little baby grow business. And he was obviously getting them... He was obviously working on like some Teespring or something, where you design it on the computer and then they fulfill the orders somehow. And now she's involved herself, and so Stephen, and they've just walked him into a trap.
Well,
he shouldn't have been designing stuff when he was supposed to be working for Carla.
Oh, who hasn't just doing little doodles when you're sitting on the phones?
Well, yeah.
So going back to this baby thing.
Yeah.
Adam was kind of miffed that Sarah has decided to withdraw her loins.
Uterus.
Yeah. Do you think that he has any right to be miffed? Because I'm kind of thinking he does. And and he, it's her body and everything. I'm not saying that she shouldn't have any decision, but he's always wanted for as long as the storyline started last year, I guess, wanted a kid, and she was the one that was going on. She's the one that had the app on her phone that was dinging every time she was ovulating or whatever. And for her to literally out of nowhere turn around and say, "No, I'm not interested anymore," I don't blame him for being a little bit mad about that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I can sympathise with both of them here. Because Adam doesn't have any children, biological children, of his own, and he wanted to have one with Sarah. Sarah's quite within her rights to say, she's got a daughter,
a grown-up daughter,
old enough to have her own child now, and she's got a young child to look after, and she did have postpartum psychosis, which is no joke. She's going to damage her body and her health potentially, and not be able to work on her new business, which she didn't have this time last year when she was suggesting the idea of a baby.
Well, that's the only difference, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but she wants to focus on her career. And the best will in the world, I don't think Adam's going to be a super hands-on dad. He's got a very challenging job of his own.
Yeah.
Is he going to be able to drop everything when she's working late? I mean, they conveniently completely ignored Harry this week when they were supposed to be having dinner and she was working late. And
I think that Adam might also be thinking that Sarah Louise is getting on a bit. Well, and I know she's still young, but and I don't know anything about when's the best time. But Sarah's what, 35 now maybe, and so he may well be thinking, you know, there's only a couple of years left maybe.
He literally said, "Let's not sleepwalk into the decision being made for us," which I thought was a very, very good and succinct way of putting the issue of the biological clock to her.
Yeah.
But Adam, don't worry about it. 5 years' time, we'll be married to somebody else and probably have a kid with them.
I hope so. I just wonder whether this is going to lead to him, you know, looking elsewhere, because he has had a roving eye in the past, hasn't he? Maybe Dee Dee if she's rejected by Nick. Who knows?
Wasn't that the reason he started cheating in the first place? Because he wanted a baby? Or was that somebody else?
When was he cheating?
I don't know.
He wasn't cheating.
Didn't somebody start...
You're not thinking of the Lydia thing where it looked like she was cheating. She tried to make out that he was cheating.
I don't
know. Let's go on to the next storyline.
I'm pretty sure there was a storyline about that, but maybe
never mind. Tooth and Lies, Gemma. So the saga of Lawrence and his dentist friend.
Lawrence and his dentist friend.
Sorry, Sean and his dentist friend. Mm-hmm. What's been going on?
On Monday, in Eileen's house, Mary's trying to talk to Sean about... She's created a buffet-style breakfast, and he's eating the fruit salad. Well, she's trying to get him to eat the fruit salad, but he's distracted by his phone. And then Lawrence comes over with a selection of Danish pastries. And Eileen thanks him for sorting out Todd's teeth. For some reason, they're in a taxi. And I don't remember why they're in a taxi. Todd and Lawrence...
No.
You've not written this, so I can understand it.
You watched it just as much. No, actually, I can't remember either. Todd was getting out of a taxi or something, and Mitch is there, the taxi driver, and then he sees Lawrence coming out of an 11, Lawrence and Sean, I think, and maybe Eileen or something.
Right,
and
now
Mitch
I
is
remember.
like, I know that guy. Carry on.
I know that guy. He's always giving people Danish pastries, making them fat. He says Sean should watch his back.
He's giving people Danish pastries and then getting them holes in their teeth so that he can charge them extortionate dental bills.
This is what I've heard. Apparently, that kind of doughy, biscuity things are the worst for your teeth because they stay stuck like cement. And then they create cavities. Do
you reckon that Lawrence hangs out at the precincts just with a bag of Danishes, with vanilla slices?
Hey kid, do you want one of these nice biscuits? Right.
Have a cinnamon whirl. You don't have to get into my car or anything. Just eat it and don't brush your teeth. See you next week.
Who brushes teeth? Losers, that's who. Right, so he's like, Sean should watch his back. Bye-bye.
Sean should wash his back.
It stinks. I could tell from here. So, Sean walks into the cab office later, and Eileen and Todd are talking about this mystery taxi driver and his cryptic remarks. And he wants to know what's going on, and they avoid talking to him. But Todd wants to meet up with Todd at lunch to get this information out of him. So when they do meet, Todd tells him what Mitchell says, and Sean's like, what do you mean, watch my back? You're just being jealous. I don't understand why you're obsessing over my boyfriend. Keep your nose out. And Sean decides to have it out with Lawrence, so he calls him into the pub, shows him a picture of Mitch, and he's like, I don't know who that is. So, this is suspicious, isn't it? Because he does know who that is.
Yeah, but we don't know at this point that he doesn't know that he knows who it is.
It doesn't matter. I'm telling you, it's suspicious that he lied.
It was very suspicious.
Later on, Eileen is doing a bit of digging, and she finds a picture of Lawrence and his wife, who's now dead, on their Rambling Club website, and Lawrence is there with Mitch, and he's got his arm
does know him
around his shoulder. So Sean says, okay, I believe you that there's nothing to be suspicious about, because he doesn't know about this. And he's like 97% sure that it's all fine. And Lawrence says, well, that's good, because I got a surprise for you later. And so back at home, Sean tells Eileen and Todd the surprise that Lawrence had for him is that they're taking a mini break at the weekend. And so Eileen and Todd can stop being so suspicious and making all these horrible comments.
Well, how's that going to work? Because they haven't had a weekend in Coronation Street for about 5 years.
Wednesday, Todd's still trying to look up Mitch online to find out more information so they can uncover what he meant by his cryptic remarks. And they can't find out. So Eileen says, look, why don't we book the taxi firm that he worked for, and then if it's not him, we'll cancel. Todd's like, that is a dumb idea, but it was the only idea we've got. So we're going to have to do it. And because each time you book a taxi and cancel it, they charge you £8. It's going to cost him like 80 quid.
He ends up racking up quite a bill.
He doesn't have any luck later on.
And then he has luck.
Sean and Lawrence are in the bistro later on, and Sean's trying to guess where they're going on their mystery break. And Lawrence is filling out their holiday insurance details. He's like, oh, I need to know who the next of kin's going to be. I'm going to put you down as mine because I love you, he says. Isn't that lovely?
Very lovely. Sorry, I'm just in the middle of a massive yawn.
Todd and Eileen finally get a Mitch match. You've written.
I did write that, but I copied it from the script.
He tells him... Mitch says
gives
to
the story, doesn't
Todd
he? And Eileen in his car.
I think Lawrence killed his wife. In fact, I know he did. I was having an affair with him.
What?
The wife found out. Lawrence was worried she was going to tell everybody before he was ready to come out, so he pushed her off the mountain. And watch out, he's dangerous. I can't talk anymore. I've got to go. You can't... The thing is, most mountains, you get this idea of a mountain as like this kind of really narrow top bit. But that's not really what mountains are. You can't really push people off a lot
No,
of
if you're standing on the top of a mountain and you push someone, what's it going to do?
Trip down for about a few metres and go, what the hell was that for? You're pushing me. Right.
I suppose if you start rolling and you get a good speed up, there's probably no stopping you, is there?
Maybe it's one of these mountains with like a big crevasse down one side.
Yeah. Maybe.
Very specific sort of mountain for wife pushing. It's called Wife Push Mountain.
But it's in Switzerland, so how do you say that in Swiss?
La Montagne de Marie de Tombly.
Yes, exactly right.
What is it then?
How do you say push? Is it pousse? Fampus.
The Fampus Mountain?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I can see that being a good destination for postcards. So, in the pub later, Sean is going on about how great Lawrence is to Todd and Eileen, and I'm going to put him down on my insurance form as my next of kin, I think. And then Sean goes off, and Todd's like, oh gosh, do you reckon that Lawrence insured his wife as well? That's probably what happened. We've got to tell him the truth. So after Sean's on his break, they tell him about Mitch's revelation. And that Lawrence pushed her off of a mountain. And Sean's like, no way. And he also says, they're like, I think Todd's like, you can't trust him because he's had an affair. And Sean says, so what? We all have had affairs. That doesn't mean we're bad people.
Character.
It doesn't mean he pushed someone off a mountain. And now I'm definitely going to put him as my next of kin because I trust him. And then at the end of the episode, Lawrence is speaking to Sean about their destination, and he says, our break is going to be somewhere up high. And Sean gives a look like, eee.
He does. Sean Again, I'm unapologetically Sean fan, and some of the looks that he gave this week did give me a good old chuckle. They're like, oh, what have I let myself in for? Look, at the end of Wednesdays was particularly highlight for me.
On Friday, Sean...
And then when he was looking at the bag today, when he was being tempted by that bag, he was just like, oh, should I? Just the pained expression. I love it.
It is good, yeah. On Friday, Eileen apologises to Sean about everything, and Todd says, no, I'm not going to apologise because I don't trust Lawrence. And Lawrence is trying to get him... Lawrence is trying to prepare Sean for the trip without actually telling him where they're going. And he's saying to him, you don't need your phone because there won't be any reception, so you won't be able to call anybody. And Sean's getting really spooked, like, oh, he's going to take me somewhere high and I can't have my phone. I think he's going to kill me. And he's panicking, and he's like, please, can you tell me where we're going? I need to know. And Lawrence relents and says, we're going to Switzerland. And Sean goes, oh no, that's where Dignitas is. I thought that was really funny. And he's freaking out.
This was a Jonathan Harvey episode tonight, wasn't it? And there were definitely a couple of lines there that definitely smacked of him.
So he's freaking out, looking at this bag, wondering what's in there. I don't know what he thinks you need to push someone off a mountain.
Yeah, Lawrence says, don't look in my bag.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going out.
So Eileen and Todd come back and find Sean, and he's worrying about going to Switzerland. And they're like, no, we've changed our mind. We don't think he's really going to kill you. You're just overreacting. And Lawrence comes in, and they're all there in Eileen's house together. So Eileen, Lawrence, Todd, and Sean.
I think when Lawrence comes in, Sean's like grabbed the bag, hasn't he? Like he's
like
just about to open
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lawrence is like, what's going on? And Sean says, oh my God, I think you're going to kill me. You've got a murder weapon in this bag, and you're going to take me up a mountain, and you're going to kill me. And Lawrence says, no, it's a present. Open it up. So he gets this bag, and inside of it is some kind of thing for tanning or something like that. And Lawrence is like, what is going on? Why have you worked yourself up like that? And Eileen says, we met up with this taxi driver called Mitch, and he told us that you pushed your wife off a mountain. And Lawrence says, all right, okay, fine. I was having an affair with Mitch, but I didn't murder her. And the affair with Mitch ended as soon as my wife died. So he speaks to Sean by himself about the day his wife died. He says, right, I'll sit you down, I'm going to tell you what happened.
When he said, I'm going to sit you down and tell you everything that happened when my wife died, I thought, we're going to find out the exact circumstances, and it's going to be really interesting. But it was more just a case of, I wasn't even there.
Oh no, that was anticlimactic. So he says, I was called to another cabin on a dental emergency, and Lynn, my wife... What?
Somebody's bitten hard on a Toblerone that just came out of the fridge and they've chipped a tooth.
And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Have a Danish while you wait. Right, so Lynn goes on a solo hike because they both are mad on hiking.
She just can't help herself, can she? She's like, I'm itching to hike.
And there's low visibility, and she just fell.
And that was the end of that.
She fell off the mountain because she couldn't see where it was.
Too snowy.
And he tears up and he says, it's my fault, I wasn't there. And Sean's like, yeah, but why would you want to go back to where your wife died? Why would you want to go back to the country and do the same thing? And wouldn't it stir up all these horrible memories? And Lawrence is like, you don't understand, Sean. I just love walking so much. I love the Alps. I love Switzerland. There's just something about it. And I wanted to share it with you, my joy. I knew. And he says something like, as soon as I saw you, I knew that you were the one I would be able to share my love. And it's like, what do you mean? If you look at Sean, you don't go, hiking material.
I know.
Well, he says, look, I really wanted to share this and face my fears and overcome them with you, but I can't. We're done. You're dumped. So he leaves, and Todd chases Lawrence up to the tram stop and says, don't leave him, it's my fault. I put all these ideas in Sean's head. And Lawrence says, no, Sean doesn't trust me. I don't want sadness and chaos in my life. So he should leave because that's all that waits him on Coronation Street. So he leaves, he's going. So in number 11, in Eileen's house, Sean is going on about, oh, I'm such an idiot. Oh, I've ruined everything again. And Todd comes back in from trying to stop Lawrence from leaving and says, I'm so sorry, this has happened. And Sean says, I forgive you. I forgive you both.
Yeah, because, he says, oh, I'm just so lovely and nice and forgiving.
Yeah, it's true.
It is, it's very... So, is that it
this
for
was
Lawrence?
Bizarre, right? Because I just want to point out again, at the beginning of the week, Lawrence completely denied the fact that he even knew who Mitch was, and that doesn't make any sense.
Well, it does if he was kind of ashamed of this affair that he was having.
He could have easily have said, that's an ex-boyfriend of mine, and it ended badly.
I don't know, maybe he just didn't want to rake up the past because it's got sad memories.
And how did that work out before? Every time he tries to lie to to Sean, it just goes wrong. Why does he keep lying?
Are you?
I'm still suspicious of him. I'm still suspicious. I really want him to be a murderer.
I'm ever so slightly suspicious, but not that much to be excited by it.
I don't think that Sean was ever in danger, because I don't think Lawrence pushed his wife off a mountain, if he did indeed, because he just loves pushing people off mountains.
And when he saw Sean, he just thought,
I'd love
to push someone off a mountain again. And I've been looking for all these years for somebody that needs to be pushed off a mountain. And I think in you, I've found that person, Sean. And the viewers are like, yes, I know exactly what you mean, Lawrence. I enjoyed the mystery of it. I was kind of going back and forth between thinking, has he done it? And then did he kill his wife? And then sort of the very sensible voice in my head was going, no, of course he didn't. They're just trying to lead you to think this. They're not going to have it. It's going to all be one misunderstanding. And then I was thinking, yeah, but did he? And you know, I suppose in that sense, this storyline has done its job. I was quite invested to find out where he was taking Sean, what the outcome would be, and everything like that. Was the outcome of the week that exciting? Was it worth it all? Not really. We got a bit of a heart-to-heart between the two of them, and it was a bit sweet. And I this story, which I had been enjoying, just left me feeling a little bit unfulfilled at the end. What did you think? So I know you were fairly enjoying it as the week was going on.
I don't want this to be the end of Lawrence, but we've had the same ending twice here, where Todd and Eileen have worked Sean up into doing or saying something silly, and then Lawrence says, I'll tell you the truth, but then I'm going, and then he flounces off. I'm suspicious. I'm still suspicious of Lawrence. Why did he lie about Mitch? We've had 2 stories. Is there 3 stories about why he might have... He's got loads of motives about killing his wife. The insurance money, the vast fortune of her parents, and also the fact that he was having an affair.
I don't think that it's gonna go down there, and if it does, I don't know how interesting it would be to watch, because it'd all be just him telling what happened rather than us kind of being able to see it and watch it and experience it. You know, if he turned around and said, oh yeah, you know what's right, I did push her down and this is exactly what happened, I don't think it would make brilliant television just to hear about it.
They can Photoshop anything now.
They yeah, that's very true. They even photoshopped a picture of them up a mountain, didn't they?
The picture that
the picture
was found by Todd,
the rambling picture,
that was the wife and Mitch and Lawrence.
Yeah, that was very well photoshopped by Michael Gleason, wasn't it?
Taken outside the Tony Warren building.
Yeah, that's very good. It was just on the little path, wasn't it?
It was really good. It was really well done, and it didn't even cross my mind that it wasn't. I was like, yeah, I guess they went up a mountain for that one.
So was Mitch lying? So Mitch, he was really convinced that Lawrence pushed this girl, didn't it? But so why does he think that?
Exactly.
If Lawrence says no, it was nothing to do with me, it was a tragic accident. Yeah, why does Mitch?
The same reason why Todd thinks it. Because
Lawrence
it makes
is just
sense.
a very suspicious guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, it was all fine, that storyline. I know some people didn't like it, but I like Sean. Lawrence, I wasn't too fussed at. I got plenty of what I like about Sean in this week's episode, so yeah, it was all right. I think
the most important thing is that Sean didn't have to go hiking in Switzerland.
We wouldn't have seen it anyway. I
know, but I would enjoy that. But I do not think that for 1 minute that Sean would have liked it.
I know. Can you imagine Sean up a mountain saying, "Oh, it's too cold. When's the?"
I can't believe he's got the wardrobe for it.
No.
And I don't. If Lawrence knows anything about Sean, he would have realised that he's not your future hiking partner.
Yeah, that's a really good point actually, and it's taken him a long time to realise this.
I mean,
if he's that so into hiking that he just has to go back and he
wants to hike all the time.
Yeah, then you would have thought that maybe it would have come up before this point, and maybe realise that Sean isn't the active type.
And here's the other thing.
You can't change a man, Lawrence.
You just can't. You can lead a man up a mountain, but you can't make him hike. You can only push him off. So the other question is, why isn't he in this rambling club anymore? Have they all ostracised him because they all think he pushed his wife off the mountain?
Maybe.
Right,
I'm going to move on to the next storyline now, our Bernie Winner storyline. And this was another little bit of filler fluff, really, wasn't it? And there were times when I was thinking, this isn't really working for me. And then it looked like it kind of ended by Wednesday, and it felt somewhat satisfying and satisfactory. But anyway, so Bernie at the beginning of Monday's episode is telling Gemma all about this golfing prowess that she's suddenly discovered that she has. And Chesney's like, no, Dev's let you win. That's what he told me. So she's like, what? Heads over to the shop, face like thunder. Did you let me win at golf yesterday? And he kind of beats around the bush a little bit, going, oh no, baby, you're really good at golf. You're amazing. He clearly admitted that he wasn't playing his A game. But, you know, he says, you were good. But, yeah, I kind of didn't give you my best competition. So he invites her out to another game because she's like, fine, I want to prove that I can beat you. Don't hold back. So they head off to the golf course. Later on, and they're back home from this, and what do you know? Bernie's won again. And she's crowing about it to Gemma. Dev, though, is like, he's getting really wound up by this, isn't he? He's like smiling through gritted teeth and saying, oh, she really is quite good. Later still, and Bernie's getting all excited about her future prospects out on the links, and Dev saying, oh yeah, you're brilliant, I'm so delighted for you. He absolutely despises the fact that there's competition come. And I'm going to say as well, I don't think the fact that I think the fact that Bernie is a woman beating him at golf, Dev doesn't like. Do you think there's a little bit of that in there?
It might be.
He's always been a real schmoozy ladies man, and he likes to look after his ladies because he thinks he's, stronger. More vulnerable and stronger. Less vulnerable and stronger and everything. And I don't think he likes the idea of being beaten by a woman.
There could be a class thing there as well. He's a sort of middle class business guy, and she's this upstart working class girl who's never held a golf club in her life. He should naturally be better than her.
I would say that he's more embarrassed about the fact that she's a woman.
Girl.
Yeah, I think so. So kids are in bed later over at number 5, and Gemma warns Bernie that Dev might not be as okay about all this as he's making out, and Bernie says, nah, Dev's a grown-up, he's fine, he can take it. Cut to Dev. And he is having a major hissy fit in his front lounge. He's got the indoor golf putting malarkey thing out, and he's trying to get some holes in one and just doing an awful job of it. He's losing his mind. Ardy's there just finding this all hilarious, and Dev says, no, you don't understand, Ardy. Golf has always been my happy place. It's been my escape, and now Bernie's ruined it. And Ardy's like, well, you just need to deal with it. You're growing old. And Dev just goes absolutely nuts about this. I found that quite amusing. It was another one of those things that probably people who don't like Dev would roll in their eyes majorly at. But I thought it was good.
The moral of this story, I think, might just be you don't have to share every interest with your partner.
No.
And if there's some things you do specifically to unwind, then you don't need to involve them.
Exactly. Lesson learned, Dev.
That's why I've got my own podcast that you're not involved in. Yeah.
So Wednesday, Bernie tells Roy that she's not coming into work today because she needs to practice her golf. She's got these trials today to try and get into the club. And she's managed to get herself a set of clubs as well. But then Dev and Asher, not so good ones. So Dev and Asher come round and they present her with a caddy, is that the right word? Is that right?
Clubs.
Was that what you call you carry your clubs in? I don't know. With a set of golf clubs, Ardy's old ones, which he's apparently moved on from. And I thought that was quite interesting because we've said for years, like, oh, do you remember when Ardy was really into golf as a young child? He was a little protege. Why doesn't he do golf anymore? And we get to find out this week that, Ardy has moved on from that somewhat.
That's what he says. Symbolic, isn't it? Because do you remember, now Bernie's taking Ardy's golf clubs without his permission.
Mm.
But do you remember she knocked his golf trophy?
Yes.
And broke it.
Bit by bit.
She's replacing him.
Yeah, she's shattering his golf mad past. Anyway, Bernie goes to the cafe later to give the clubs to Asher. She says, look...
Now, hang on. It was sweet when Dev gave her the clubs and then she took one and she hooked him with the golf club to give her a
like
kiss.
a crook off the stage. Yeah, see, that was sweet. That was sweet. So Bernie goes to the cafe later, says, look, I need to give you these clubs back. I didn't pass the golf trials. Time has passed since the last scene. She's clearly totally miffed about this. And she says, maybe I was just getting a bit too ahead of myself. I'm better suited to crazy golf anyway. She gets a bit maudlin and self-depreciating and everything. So Dev goes around to number 5 later, wanting to speak to Bernie, and he says, look, I've got some contacts there. I still think I can get you into this club. I've got some connections. And she's like totally over it now. She
don't want to do it.
Yeah, she's almost like she says, well, no, I'm done. I haven't done it. Move. She doesn't want to open herself up to the possibility of maybe getting into that club again because
she doesn't want to be disappointed.
Yeah. So later on again, and Gemma asks Bernie, this is kind of the twist in it, isn't it? Did you lose this game against Dev on purpose? And Bernie's like, yeah, I kind of... The line is something along the lines of, I'd rather be bouncing around Dev's bed on a Sunday morning than on a rainy golf course. And, well, it seems to work because the end of that episode sees Bernie and Dev scurrying off to bed together like a bunch of randy teenagers.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny. I love the way that the Bernie must have like twigged that Dev wasn't okay with this and thought, I don't really care about golf. I don't want to jeopardise my relationship. I'd rather just have a nice shag. I don't care about walking about, so I'm gonna sacrifice my future golfing career.
And I said this last week, and this may still be fairly, judgmental of me. And prejudice, I suppose, but I didn't particularly buy Bernie as an expert golfer, and of course we don't get to see them out on the green. Back in the day, they'd have scenes filmed at the golf course, wouldn't they? Remember when Fred fell down that hole or whatever it was? And we just had to use our imagination to picture Bernie getting these holes in ones. I couldn't really.
I don't think it's Bernie specifically I find it hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that anybody could get to that age and be so good at golf that they're invited to join a team.
Yeah. The fact
I don't think it's a natural
after one
talent.
game she got invited to be in the club or the team or whatever. It all felt a little bit quick, but that's what happens when you have a little rushed story. This was clearly a bit of a filler background story. It was okay. I thought that the ending of it was quite funny. I don't need to see any more than this. But the only thing that maybe it isn't the end of, when Dev was losing the games and losing his mind, I was wondering, is this the start of a storyline where there's something wrong with Dev?
No.
Is he developing something which means that he's losing his touch at golf?
Is he developing a syndrome where he doesn't like women to be better at sport than him?
Is he developing bad at golf syndrome, or so he might be getting a bit uncoordinated in his older years or something. It. I don't know. I know we don't like medical storylines, but watch this space maybe. My
favourite part was Top Dibs.
What was that again?
It was a bidding website.
Oh yeah, Top Dibs. That's the Weatherfield eBay.
Yeah.
Is that where she got her golf clubs?
Yeah. You get your stuff from Top Dibs. You put your photos at Send PX.
Yeah.
Your friend Connect and your Voggle.
Yeah, we saw all this on Roy's phone today,
didn't we?
You made a little screenshot of Roy checking his mobile, and he had text messages, Send PX, Weatherfield recorder or something.
Well, let's talk about Roy, shall we? On Monday,
Finish off with Roy.
The night looking up a Roman dig on his phone, and Evelyn's not impressed that he's become such a convert to the phone. And they start talking about the charity shop, and Nina.
Yeah, she. I don't know what.
Well, somebody should go and help. Mary brings.
Nina tries to convince Roy to go in and help. I think at the charity shop.
Mary brings some old annuals round to number 9 for the girls, and they were like, "Oh my gosh!" I remember reading.
That was a nice bit of nostalgia moment, wasn't it? What was that you recognised?
I can't remember what they were now.
Because they had a Beano annual and a Dandy annual there from the mid-80s. And although I didn't have those particular... Because I used to collect the Dandy annuals, and I think the first one that I got was 1992. But there was a wave of nostalgia. Because I also used to get, they had compilations of best bits from the Dandy over the first 50, 60 years or whatever, and seeing those old things. They still make Dandy annuals and Beano, even though they don't publish the Dandy comic anymore. I think they still make the annual every year. It was, I appreciated that. I'd have taken it off of her hands if I'd found that in the Gregory Pope.
I remember getting little kid, girls' comic compilations, and they were from however long ago. Yeah. So it was like, oh no, Betty, my dress for the dance has got a rip in it. Whatever shall we do? And that kind of stuff. And I was like, I can't wait to find out. Turn the page. She sewed it up. Incredible.
She's got Beth to do it in the middle of the night.
So she wants to tear them away from the screens, and Evelyn's like, that's not going to happen. And meanwhile, Roy won't get off his phone. He's dropping crockery. He's burning toast. And Carla says to Nina, what have you done to him? He's obsessed with the phone. You should have realised that when she gets into something, he really gets into something. So it's you're responsible for this. He's on Twitter later. He's looking up a cryptozoologist. I love that. Greg Newkirk, perhaps, maybe. I don't know. Does he like Gremlins? Watch Hellier. Very good.
I don't know what you're referring to.
They do a podcast which I recommend, but I forgot what it's called. Hidden Objects, Cursed Objects. It's very good. Anyway, Nina's proud of him. Evelyn pops in and says, I've been to the charity shop and Joy's gone, so I think I'm going to work there again.
Joy's the woman
the one that had an argument.
Yeah, the one that Evelyn was going to bludgeon to death with a cricket bat before she went off. I think she has done that.
Yeah, I think she's like, I've killed her and I've shoved her in a thing, and now I think I'm going to work there again because it's Greg and Dana's Haunted Objects podcast.
Okay.
I think it's very interesting if you like spooky things. Anyway, Evelyn's going to work there, and she's looked at the charity shop, but it's been left in the right state. So she says, Roy, could you come and help me tidy it up? So on Wednesday, back at the cafe, Evelyn's moaning about Lilo Lil, who is the new Duke of Edinburgh girl at the flat.
The shop,
who's a bit of a waste of space. But she says there is a train set there that Roy could value, so I can make sure that I sell it for a good price. And he says, I'll go round to look at it. But he never gets around to it, so she has to bring it to him. And he's very impressed. He says, oh, this is a rare specimen. And he starts talking, he's rattling off a bunch of facts. And she's not really listening. And he says, I'll get somebody to value it for you. And he doesn't get around to telling her when she needs the information. So she sells it for £10. But it turns out it could have been worth up to £200.
What?
And that's a bit annoying, isn't it? So later still,
hate it when that happens.
Nina's trying to get Roy to put the phone down so that they can watch a film together. But he's like, oh, no, let me show you this. My friend sent it to me earlier. Blah, blah, blah. So on Friday, Beth comes into the cafe and Nina says, Roy's addicted to his phone. And Roy's like, no, I'm not. So she says, right, don't look at your phone until the end of your shift. But he gets a message from Yasmin. It's a meme of a cat licking condensation off a window. And so he loses the bet. So Nina takes the phone off of him. And then when Dylan's looking at his phone, Roy can't pull his eyes away. He's looking at him from behind the counter.
That scene was weird because it was... Who was it that was talking to Dylan? Was it Beth or somebody or...
Could have been anyone.
I can't remember, but it was someone that I was thinking, why are you speaking to this boy who I don't think you even know who they are or anything?
I don't know, darling.
But yeah, I was thinking, where's this going? And then you just kind of see Roy sidling into the background and
what
having a
are
look
you
at these space pictures.
Well, it's a good job he was just looking at deep space pictures because there's all kinds of things that Dylan could have been looking at.
That's what this person was insinuating, whoever it was, I don't remember.
At the end of his shift, Roy gets his phone back and promises he'll spend less time on it from now on. And he sends Nina up to the flat and immediately starts checking his notifications.
And that was that.
And that's it.
I'm kind of torn with this story between finding it quite quaint and funny.
And charming.
And also
low
thinking,
stakes.
What would he really get that obsessed with his phone that quickly? It's just
yeah.
Oh, he's been saying everybody who goes on their phone is a zombie. And then within 5 minutes, oh, look, he's a zombie phone guy. It was just, from one extreme of hating them to the other extreme of clear obsession a little bit quickly, I thought.
That's the joke. That makes it the story, doesn't it?
I don't know where it's going to go. It felt like every single scene in this storyline this week was just filler material some more amusing than others. I'm enjoying it.
I definitely think there's lots of
there's nothing
stuff
to be invested
for Roy to be obsessed with on the internet. If he loves memes of cats.
Yeah.
Do you remember I Can Has Cheeseburger?
Of course.
Who could forget?
I don't know if that still exists. Right.
I remember looking at that website for hours on end going, this is just the best.
I remember when
this is the pinnacle of civilization.
Like they were proper memes, they were. Right, so this week's Coronation Street, we've written what?
I want to point out it's not a meme of a cat. You can't just have a meme of a cat licking condensation off a window. You have to have some kind of writing on it.
I think that the term meme has changed since that Ice Can Has Cheeseburger started it all off.
It's got to have a message.
I think that these days a meme is just a picture with some writing on.
That's what I just said.
But it used to be. I can't even remember what it used to be. It was more like something that everybody knows, and there was a small number of memes, and it's like, right, this is the time when I'm going to post the picture of the ORLYL that everybody knows. And, yeah,
it's culture that's disseminated in a group by a group.
But if you just make one and nobody, and share it, it's not a meme because nobody knows it.
I think a meme now just means a funny picture.
Yeah.
Or a video.
Oh well, words change. Right.
I won't accept it.
So, this week's Coronation Street.
It's like selfie means a picture of yourself now, but it shouldn't mean a picture of yourself. It's a picture you take of yourself.
Yes, you're right. I am going to rate this week's Coronation Street. I'm going to say.
Have you got an answer?
Yes, 3 phantom vibrations on your leg.
Yeah.
Brr, brr, brr. There's nobody there.
Apparently, that's quite
out of 5. I thought it was okay. There were some good bits. I was somewhat interested in the Bistro kerfuffle aftermath. The stuff with Michael and Carla was semi-interesting. I was slightly gripped by the Sean storyline. Everything there was like, I'm not finding this boring, but on the other hand, I'm not on the edge of my seat there. So 3 it's going to be for me.
I'm going to give it 3.5 wonky Ewan McGregors.
Fair enough. Character of the week is another difficult one this week. I don't know whether there's anyone that completely stands out.
Nobody stands out to me particularly.
The
2 major storylines didn't have anybody who caught my affections.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the Sarah storyline did. I mean, I enjoyed Sean, but I'm thinking I might give it to Sam. As precocious and probably annoying he would be if I knew him in real life.
Well,
I thought that he was very brave during the Bistro robbery and everything that happened on Wednesday's episode where he was kind of wanting to find out the truth. I just find it very laudable and a little bit innocent and everything. And then when he pushed his decks over was quite funny. And then standing up to Nick, again, probably if you're this kid's dad, you'd be like, no, you don't speak to me like this. But I'm gonna celebrate him for having a bit of chutzpah to do that. So Sam for me.
I'm gonna pick Bernie because I loved the developing relationship between her and Dev. I liked her hooking him in with the golf club. I loved her telling Gemma she'd rather bounce around a bed than a golf course. I loved her giggling and running upstairs with him.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
She's funny.
She was good.
She's the character's funny. Putting her with Dev works for me, and so she gets my award of the week.
Right, there you go.